Hello, hello, everyone. I am trying to get my guest on here, my partner. So hold on. Let's see here. Oh, this is not going right. Excuse me. Hold on. We're having trouble streaming your destination. Is it possible that the stream was ended? Remove. Okay. Remove that. Save and changes. Okay. Now I need to, invite. Okay. Copy to the studio. Copy. I got to go to Jermaine. Hold on, everyone. This is coming.
Can you hear me, bro? Hold on real quick. Mic on. Let's see here. All right, let me know if you can hear me, bro. Because I'm not hearing anything on my end. Let's see. You understand? Everyone can hear and see you. Make sure. All right. Okay. You give me a thumbs up. Can you hear me? I can't hear you. I see that you can hear me though. Let me see. Hold on real quick. Cam's on. Okay. His mic's on. Hmm. Let's see. Let me try to. All right. Let's see. Uh.
Unmute. How about now? Try it again now. Try it again now. I'll add you to the
I can
stage.
definitely hear you now. All
All
right.
right.
Can you?
I had to
Yeah, there we
unmute.
go.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Cool. 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 I was one. I was like, dang. I can see you. You can hear me, but I couldn't hear you.
Yeah.
What's going on,
So,
bro?
man, not a whole lot. It's something nice. So we should be on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook,
Good deal.
uh, and
Good. Good
X.
deal. Oh, okay. You got all platforms,
Yeah.
huh? Well,
Yeah.
first off, man, I definitely appreciate you getting me on here. I definitely feel like we could definitely reach out to more individuals doing it via StreamYard like this, and then bring
Yes.
everybody into one platform, and then streaming from there. I feel like we give us a better opportunity to reach more people. That's really what it's about,
I agree.
100%. I definitely wanted to start things off, man. I'm not sure if you heard. You heard about CJ passing?
I did. I got the text from Quee last night. She sent it to me,
Really?
and I was like, "Man, I'm sorry to hear that."
Yeah, that was a rough one, man. I wasn't expecting to hear that. I received the news yesterday. I don't know, maybe around like 2, 3 o'clock, and
Yeah.
apparently, I think most people found out like Saturdays when I think it happened. Like Saturday morning, Friday night is what I think. If my if my information is correct, um, and I hated that, man. I wanted to kind of start things off maybe with like a moment of silence for that. If you cool with
Yes.
that,
I'm good with that. I'm good with that.
cool. Well, I appreciate you for allowing me to do that, man. She was definitely somebody special to me for sure.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
we
Likewise.
go way back, Probably it's probably been now 15, no, 10 years. Yeah, 10 years now since I've known her. And when I
Yeah.
first met her, I met her in Miami, in Nationals. Actually, believe it or not, I knew of
Yeah.
her prior to actually meeting her because from magazines and stuff like that. I knew
Yeah.
she competed back in her day, and then when I met her, we locked in, and we had been locked in ever since. Man, we probably talk probably once a week, once every other week for sure,
Yeah.
um, on the phone and stuff like that, man. And she was just a good spirit. She was a kind heart. She would do anything for anyone, and just hearing that information, man, my heart was heavy yesterday, bro. It
Yeah.
really was.
Loss of anybody you know, man, and especially in this sport, because the sport is like a almost like an indirect family,
It is,
an
bro.
extended
It
family
really is.
to you. So,
It
yeah.
really is. I hated to hear that, man. And what it really made me think about was, all the conversations me and her had. And I remember you saying this probably a couple lives ago. You said that, people aren't going to remember anything else besides how you made them feel.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
you said that out your own mouth. And honestly, it hit me so hard yesterday. I was hearing you say that when I received the news, and I thought about how she made me feel after conversations of long conversing back and forth, long dialogues we had, phone calls, text messages, all our
Yeah.
interactions. And all I can remember is how she made me feel,
Yeah.
and she always had, a positive vibe about her, man. I never saw her upset, never saw her angry. Um, and she was going through a lot. I know her health was something she's been kind of, dealing with the last probably 2 years or so. And
Yeah.
it was just unfortunate, man. And I reached out to her last week and didn't hear anything back. And so, I've been texting. I was like, "Yo, sis," I was like, "Hit me up. Let me know you're doing okay." Because
Yeah.
if I go like 2 weeks without hearing from her, I get kind of nervous, you know. And
Yeah.
so, I just told her, I was like, she does so much for other people, man, and she didn't really do a lot for herself. She always was making sure other people were good, and that's just the type of spirit she had, bro.
Yeah.
And I think I thought about this too, bro. When me and you in our calls, we always say, and I always try to make sure I'm very vocal about letting the people that I know that I care about, letting
Yeah.
them know. And that's exactly why,
Oh,
because
absolutely.
we just never know when the last opportunity we'll have to speak to someone we care about. Um,
Yeah.
and we want it to be obviously a pleasant one, right? But we also want them to
Absolutely.
know and not have to second guess like how they made us feel or how we felt about them. So I know it sounds kind of, as some people say, corny or mushy gushy, right? When men say that, but
Yeah.
I always tell my people that I care about and love, bro, I let them know, because I mean it, and when those people are gone, um,
There's no turning around. There's no going back from that.
it's a fact,
So
bro. You
tell
know,
them you love them and give them their flowers while they're alive.
I agree. So, if something, God forbid, was to ever happen to me anytime, soon or vice versa with anyone I'm close to, I don't want there to be any, doubt how I felt about my people. I don't want them to have any doubt about, you know, how they felt about me. So that's why I'm very vocal about that. But that news yesterday, bro, just it rocked me, man. I wasn't expecting it. We never are, but
No.
it was just I saw a male post about it, and I immediately I grabbed my phone, I called right just to see. Obviously, the phone was off. I was like, that's not a good sign. I
Yeah.
immediately went to social media, went to her page, and I saw people comment on her last post. And I was like, man, and man, it was just it was hard, bro. It was hard,
Yeah.
and I hate it, man. But it's part of life, and it's something that we all, at some point in time, we all have to make that journey. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
like it or not. You know what I'm saying?
All all you can do is your best, man. At,
That's a
at this
fact.
point, all you can do is your best from here. Love, give, like I said, I'm gonna say it again. Give everybody their flowers while they're living.
I agree.
Because I'm not gonna have any remorse because I said, "Oh, I should have spent more time or I should have reached out more." I
Yeah,
do
I agree.
try to reach out to as many people as I can, but I will tell you, if you don't reach back out, then I guess I won't hear from you. But
Yeah, there you go.
you can only
Facts.
do but you can only do but so much on your own, and I
Facts.
don't know if people or whatever people may be going through. I don't know, but just know if I reach out to you, I'm reaching out to you because you came across my mind and I thought about you and I want to hear from you. I
I
don't want
agree.
anything from you.
Yeah, agree. And sometimes, man, it's good to be thought of, and to have people that that care about you and actually think about you, um, especially in the times we're living in now, bro. That's not something to overlook, or take for granted, because people so caught up in their own lives, The fact that you
Yeah.
took time out your day to reach out to a person. I know we all got our own lives going on, and we got things that we know distract us, and we got so much that keeps us busy. But I do my best when people reach out to me to try to respond back, in a timely manner, just because,
Yeah.
like you just said, someone took time out of their day doing whatever God knows they're doing, right? And
Yeah.
I came across their mind for whatever reason, and they reached out when they didn't have um,
Yeah.
to just say, "Hey, bro, just thinking about you. Hope all's well. Checking in." I do
But
that with like a good bit of people, and I'm like, "Hey, I know it's been 2 months. Don't want nothing. I hadn't heard from you. Just want to let you know I'm thinking about you. Hope all's well. Keep me posted if you
but
need anything." All right, cool. And we just keep. Sometime it might be a
yeah.
year. I might do that, right? And then I might run into a person a year later, but like we pick up where we left off. But it's not that you don't want to be bugging people, but at the same
Oh
time you
yeah.
want to know,
You want to let them know you
hey,
care about them.
I care
You
about you.
know.
Exactly, I care about you. Um, I know we ain't got to be all on each other, but at the same time, like you somebody that I hold in high regard, and so um, I think it's important to share that with people when we have the opportunity to do so. So um, honestly, man, that really today at work, that had me
Mhm.
thinking a lot, about that, and um, it's crazy because I have an aunt right now that's in the hospital actually, and I heard this. I heard I'm not 100% sure, but someone that I know that had information. told me that they thought it might have been a congestive heart failure issue.
Yeah.
So I have an aunt right now that's kind of dealing with something similar to the same thing. She's 80 years old. She's a little older, but
Yeah.
and then I got this news, and then not to mention the doctors. And I know doctors aren't the final judge on how long someone can be here or not, but they told us that it could be, 2 days, or it could be 2 weeks, or 2 months. They don't really know. So it's one of those situations where I'm expecting, unfortunately, to
Hmm.
receive sometime news that may not be the best. And then I received this about CJ,
Yeah.
and I was like, man, it's just,
Makes you put
but
things in
bro,
perspective.
yeah, man. But end of the day, man, me and my father talked about it. He always tells me, we're born to live, to make a difference, and to pass, and to go on to the next dimension. And so that's something that it's a part of life. We can't escape
Yeah.
it. And I know a lot of times we don't like to talk about it because it's a touchy subject, right?
Yeah.
Selfishly, we want people to stay here forever, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And we know that we can't have that. But I think it's important. I think it would be beneficial and potentially helpful if we did speak about things more often. So that way we, for one, take our opportunities that we have still more serious. For
Yeah.
two, that we're better prepared to understand that this is a cycle. And so hopefully we can be, like you said last time, be as present as we can in these moments that we still have, and cherish those even more so. Not talking about it doesn't prolong it or push it back any. It just essentially makes it a lot harder to deal with when it happens.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm not someone who thinks that we should harp on it, but I do think that we should
Mm.
be
Just
realistic with
acknowledge it.
ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
I mean,
should make acknowledgement of it.
I think that it's important, bro. I really do. I thought about you today. I thought about these calls we do, and I was just like, you know, I don't take for granted, man, the times I get to spend with people that I care about, even if it's just an hour every week. When you do this,
Yeah.
um, it's important, and it's something that I look forward to. I
Oh,
think that a
likewise.
lot of people get benefits from what we do, but not only that, I benefit from it because I'm in the presence of someone that I respect and that I love. And so, for me, I wanted to let you know, bro, like you take your time out of your Mondays to set these calls up with me and to be on these calls. And I know you don't have to do that, but for what it's worth, I'm telling you, I appreciate you. I know I've always told you
Oh,
this, but I'm gonna
well,
continue to
definitely.
keep saying it
Yeah.
because
Well,
it's
I'm
something
I'm
I
okay
mean.
with that, bro. I tell everyone, I said, you hear the word affection, everybody always thinks relationship, but to be have an affectionate feeling for someone you admire,
Mhm.
respect, and enjoy being around, it's nothing better. I mean,
Yeah,
I'd rather somebody tell me they love me while I'm here than when I die. I can't hear that. So,
yeah, and you
I don't
know,
mean nothing now.
yeah, and then people, they start telling a whole bunch of lies and stuff anyway. So
Oh yeah.
it's better to let people know when they can hear it, because that's when it matters, right?
Oh yeah.
Once I'm gone, it don't matter, right, at that point. So
Yeah.
and I just try not to live with regret when it comes to that, because I think we've all had situations take place in life where we kind of like, man, I wish I would have did this, or wish I would have did that. So I've learned from that not to have any of those moments anymore.
Oh,
I rather live with, I'm not gonna say regret, but um, I'd much rather maybe wish I had did something a little different than never did it at all. If that
oh
makes sense.
yeah. Oh, it makes
If
sense.
that
Makes
makes sense,
plenty of
yeah.
sense. The thing
So at
about
least
it
I can say,
is,
well, I tried it, it didn't work out, or maybe I should have handled that different, right? But if
mhm.
I just don't do it at all, I feel like that's a lot harder to live with. I feel like, for me personally.
Oh, I always, like, look, I've come to the conclusion about a lot of things. If I call someone and I don't hear back from them, I don't automatically get upset. But what I do realize is some people may feel like I really, Marion's so jovial and I don't really have anything to be jovial about. And
Hmm.
so,
Yeah,
you get like that. So I don't really think twice about it. All they can say is they can never say Marion didn't try to reach out to me. So if you
yeah,
don't reach out, for the ones who are listening, if you don't reach out back to me, I'm not mad. I'm just moving on. That's it.
yeah. Because at the same time, it's like I know when my presence is wanted and when it's not, right? So
Yeah.
if I continue to reach out and not get anything back, the first thing I'm gonna think is maybe like, I hope everything's okay, and
Yeah.
then once I see that everything is okay, whether it be social media or in person or whatever, then I'm like, okay, well, obviously, you're just choosing to give your attention where you feel like it's needed, and clearly it's
Yeah.
not. It's not with me, and that's okay. I'm not mad at you. I just
Oh yeah.
adjust, right, and move accordingly. And sometimes that happens. It is what it is. But
Yeah.
I've noticed this too, bro. You probably heard this. They say that. Well, how's it go? It said is if you stop reaching out to everyone that you talk to first, how long would it take for them to reach out to you?
Hmm. Oh yeah. I
I've
know
done
who
that
the real
before.
ones are. I know who the real ones are, and I know who the ones,
Yeah,
you just see them in passing. That's just it.
yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure.
Maybe I always say, as well as you, I've been through enough stuff as well as you, so I don't
Mm-hmm.
really sweat the small stuff anymore.
Mm-hmm.
If you talk to me, you talk to me. If you don't, life goes on.
Hundred
That's
percent.
whatever you're dealing with. I wish you the best. A lot of people sit and suffer in silence. They think,
That's unfortunate.
the
It's
sun's gonna come
unfortunate.
out and something's gonna hit them and they're gonna be all right when they actually probably need to be in therapy.
What do you feel about this too? Speaking about therapy,
Hmm.
especially in the black community with men, especially, I've noticed. Well, I'm at two. It's a two-part question. Do you feel like there's a stigma on that? Right, is the first
Yes.
question. And
Yes.
okay, so part two of that question, and I agree with you. Why do you think that that is?
Because everybody
In your
don't want
own
to be no,
professional opinion.
yeah. Well, nobody wants to be known as being weak.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants to be known as being weak. Nobody wants to be labeled. But I'll tell you, that stigma, you need to get rid of it, because there's a lot of people who have pretty much committed suicide or just
Yeah,
stopped taking care of themselves, and they get some kind of illness, and all because they were just so stressed out internally that,
yeah, inside.
yeah, it just ate them
Yeah,
up, and then they start catching diseases, they catch sickness and illness that they can't recover from. So
yeah.
you know, a question, we did this thing on Twitter. I mean, not Twitter, uh,
Thanks.
uh, TikTok,
Okay,
which I thought I had it on here, but it's not. But we are on YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn. But what I want to say, and I'll make sure TikTok is hooked up when we do this again, and we may.
okay.
But at the same, so my sister's calling me. I hope all is well. Let me message her, tell her I'm on a live.
I say, yeah. If
Custom.
you need to, let me know. We can hop back on if it's something you need to handle. Um,
Uh,
Hope it's not, but if it is, we can always
I just
reconvene.
tell her I'm on a live. You know, maybe she heard this here and try to reach out to me.
Possibly,
So
possibly.
I don't, and I don't know if we got kicked off of Instagram, but we may have.
Really?
Oh, yeah, I see. It's not. Yeah. She
Oh, but the
says,
call. You think
sorry.
maybe the call did it?
No, it
Possibly.
shouldn't have, because I got it on my no. Well, from what it's saying, it still got check mark for
Okay.
Instagram. So is
Yeah,
it
I think this
there?
is a lot easier to plug in the rest of the
Yeah.
platform just because we don't have to like go live on different devices. We can go live on one
Yeah.
device, stream it to the rest of the platforms. It's a lot
But
easier that way.
I'm gonna make sure we're live on TikTok, only because when I did it this weekend, we had like 13,000 people, and you can open
Yeah,
up the
that's
room if people want to come in. And man, I'm gonna tell you, I spoke to we had some lovely women come
hmm
on this weekend, and I, after the conversation was done, I said we need to protect these women, because
yeah,
they were like, our men need us to support them just as much as we need them to support us. So
that's
when
a
you talked
fact.
about the mental health aspect, that was one of the things. We had a social worker on here also,
Oh,
and
really? Okay.
yeah, and she deals with abusive women. She says some men, it's a small percentage, but most people don't really talk about it a lot. But
hmm
and she was just saying how, you have to want to give somebody you have to give back as much as you want to get back.
I agree. Yeah.
So I think therapy is amazing. I would tell anybody, don't shoulder this weight by yourself, because it can sometimes get so overwhelming that you may feel like nobody cares. And it's not that nobody cares, it's just that you're looking at yourself like, I'm strong and I
hmm
can do this on my own. But you alone.
Yeah. Honestly, bro, my faith obviously has helped me with a lot of things I've been through, but I will say that prior to me coming back to that,
Hmm.
that's just been something that's happened in the last like year or two, maybe not even. But prior to that, me sitting down with a counselor, therapist, whatever you want to call it,
Hmm.
and actually speaking about things that I had going on, right?
Yeah.
Things that I had going on just in my thoughts in my mind, right? And then
Yeah.
having someone that can be non-biased, right? And
Mm-hmm.
hear what you're saying, right? And help
Yeah.
you work through those uh those concerns, issues, thoughts, whatever you want to call it. They're not necessarily there to answer your questions or solve your problems, but they're there to actually listen to you and almost like help you figure out those solutions to those issues. And so when I actually understood it or had a better understanding of what it was, because I actually went through it,
Yeah.
for me, it was probably, bro, the best thing I probably ever done besides coming back to my faith. And so for
Mm-hmm.
me, I saw a lot of benefit from it. Now, with that being said, my
Mm-hmm.
first order, I guess you say first like 20 weeks or so of therapy was ordered by the court because of my situation of being on probation and all
Yeah.
that. So it was by force for sure. But after that period of time ended, I continued on my own, right, privately,
Yeah.
and I saw the benefits from it because it helped me in so many ways that I continued it. But I will say there's a stigma around it. A lot of men feel like we are strong and we have to bear the weight by ourselves, and that's something that I think it's been perpetuated and been pushed on society. And
Yeah.
I think men have an issue with speaking about their issues. Right? We're used to solving problems, and so for us, speaking about a problem can often sometimes feel like complaining.
Yeah.
And the difference, right? Most men solve problems, they don't complain. Now, I know a lot of guys complain, but most men solve problems,
Mm-hmm.
they don't complain. I don't
Yeah.
think therapy is that at all. I think therapy is literally working through your issues, having someone hear you out and give a different perspective, right? Non
Yeah.
biased, a different perspective to help you maybe figure out another angle or another solution to maybe what you're dealing with. So for me, I saw great benefit in it, and that's something I advocate for. Um, I think everyone should have at least some type of now, whether it be someone you hire privately, whether it be some source of like community, whether it be some source of
Mm.
like church gathering or whatever it may be. I think you need some type of counsel of some sort with someone that is either an elder, a little bit wiser, or someone who's
Well, you got to
trained
be with someone's not
and
going to judge you.
yeah, and
That's
someone
the
maybe who's
biggest thing. You got
trained
to
and educated
not.
on how to help people work through issues. I think if you can find that in whatever realm that is for you, whatever that looks like, I think that would be highly beneficial for everyone to get involved in some form of that. However that looks for you individually.
And it would be so. I've told people. I would tell people this because I mean, the field that I'm in, I meet so many people from psychiatrists to social workers to all that. But if you, and then some people feel they can't afford it, but you can go to United Way, and you can actually they'll have a counselor at United Way that you can afford. Some as little as like $14 a session. You just got to know you just got to have the knowledge, and once you know, then you can either make a decision how you want to go about it. Are you frozen or are you? Everybody, are you there? Sometimes it could be the internet or anything like that. But of course, we're talking about this part of the topic we're talking about is I don't know why I took him out of the studio. So maybe if he catches on the link again, it'll show up. Anyway, we're talking about, there's nothing wrong with getting therapy. He should be coming back in right now. And there is no shame in it. And if any of you all out there that feels it like you need it, you can actually dial 211 and talk with them and they'll probably point you in the right direction. Or you could just go down to your local United Way. And that's how that can happen. See, I'm trying to put him back in, add him to the stage. Let's see if he comes on. Either it's his phone or maybe his connection. And this is a great topic we're talking about tonight, also. And I hope everyone on here is getting something out of it and see that this is, it's just not, it shouldn't be just like a one off. Because a lot of times people do suffer in silence, and that really is I think that's the biggest issue. It's kicked them off again. Well, this is technology, and we're trying to come to you and give you some. some great just conversation. That's basically what it is here. Just conversation. If you're out there, you're listening, because a lot of times people are going through stuff and they are suffering in silence and they don't feel they know who to talk to, or do they want to go sit down and talk to someone, because nobody's here to solve your problems. There just might be a different way to guide you through them. JT is frozen. So let me, all right, he's trying to get back on. Okay, I see him there. Add him to the stage. How about now?
Yes, sir. Back in.
Okay. He's back, people. He is back.
Back in. But yeah, so what I was saying was, I feel like whatever form of counsel or therapy, whatever that looks like for each individual person, whether it be a church, whether it be a community, whether it be an actual therapist at an actual site, whatever that looks like for each person, I think that's great. It doesn't have to necessarily be the same for each person, but I do think you need to have someone who's unbiased, someone who is trained at least to be able to speak with you, and that is
Mhm.
good at, or maybe trained to help you work maybe through your issues and just hear you out. I have a call I do every Wednesday with a group of fellas. We're all entrepreneurs. We all hold each other accountable to our wins. We have
Mhm.
challenges every week. And for me, it's almost like a Bible study
Yeah.
without necessarily the faith compound or the faith aspect. But what it is men sitting in council with one another. We hold each other accountable for the goals that we set the week prior, and we work through challenges together. As a sense of community we have. And so for me, I find that very valuable. We're not meant to do this alone. And so I feel like if we can, especially as men, if we can open up to the idea that we don't always have to do this by ourselves, I think we actually
Absolutely.
find strength in that instead of weakness. So I think
I
that's very, very important.
I agree with that,
Factual.
because like I said, we're gonna get, this platform is gonna, we'll still probably have some Instagram, but this platform is gonna get over to TikTok, because I saw there's more interaction.
For sure. I'm definitely down with
And
that. Yeah, because honestly, brother, like you say, man, to reach the people is really what we're doing this for. And if we can get especially more engagement and more feedback, right? People want maybe
yeah,
to maybe open up the room or the floor to have other people ask questions live, interact and have more engagement. For me, that's really all it's about. Um, I don't care if we make $1 off this. I'm just really doing it to help other people to be, as I like to call myself now, a lighthouse, right? Just
yeah.
literally like just shining a light for the people that are lost at sea to help them find their way back to shore. That's all I
Well,
care about at this point. It's not even
well, we're
about
saying,
$1 for me. You see what I'm
yeah.
saying?
Well, it's not, it's the give back. For some people, if you can, I don't know how if you can get something out of this and take
Hmm.
back to your daily life and say, wow, they said something that really resonated with me, so maybe I
Yeah,
need to take a look at myself. And the thing of it is, when we get down to the nitty gritty, when it comes about therapy, mostly the time of what people look at, the issues in life, most of them stem from relationships, and
yeah, for
the other
sure.
one makes the stresses on the job, or just dealing with family. It's just a lot,
Mhm.
those are things, and people don't know how to go about it, if they feel like if they get a third party. And a therapist is only as good as you allow them to be.
Facts, bro. And I'm glad you brought that point up because when I first went into the situation, right, with my therapy was like anger management. I was taking a different classes they ordered me to take. I had a very negative mindset going into it. My first, I say 2 weeks, I was very negative. I was like, I don't want
Hmm.
to be here. I'm forced to be here. This is pointless.
Yeah,
This is useless. Why am I here? I don't need therapy. I don't need counseling. I'm too good for that, right? And so I was ordered by the court. I had to do like 25 weeks. Didn't have a choice, right?
yeah,
So I remember telling myself my second week, I was like, I said, what I could do is I could just make the best of it because I got to be here anyway, right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
like,
absolutely.
why not just try it? I'm just gonna give it my full best effort and just see. And if it don't work, cool. I already don't think it's gonna work, so I'm
Yeah.
not gonna lose anything, right? At least that way I can really say it didn't work because I tried it, right? And
Yeah,
that's what I was going into it wanting to prove is that man,
yeah,
this is pointless. It don't work. I'm very skeptical about stuff, right? So the third week I came into the situation with a different attitude. And what you said, brother, was so profound. I got out what I put in. And
yep,
so when I went into it with a positive mindset, right,
yeah,
I gained so much from it because I was open minded to the situation to receive what I needed to receive. And before I was shut off. So
Yeah.
I agree, bro. Your therapist is only as good as you allow them to be. And it's just like anything else in life, right? What you get out is what you put in. So if you don't put anything into it, you're not gonna get anything out of it, right? So if you put your best effort in, you're most likely get your best effort out. And that's exactly what happened to me. So a lot of people that say, well, I went to therapy and it didn't work. Well, that's I've heard people say the same thing about, well, I went to church, it didn't work. I went to the gym, it didn't work for me. Well,
Maybe you didn't
okay,
go
I hear
in.
you. I hear you.
Yeah.
But what was your effort like? Honestly,
Hmm.
what if you really had to assess yourself, did you really try your best? Did you give it your all? If you did, maybe you just an anomaly. You just one out of a
Yeah.
thousand. It just don't work for it. I've just not
Exactly.
seen that in my 37 years of experience. I've not seen that happen. Usually people get out what they put in. And
Oh,
so
absolutely.
if you went into it kind of, excuse my language, half-ass,
Yeah.
then that's probably what you got out of it, right? And so
Oh,
I
yeah.
just noticed for me, we always, especially I know yourself, you can probably relate to this. You want to operate at the best version of yourself. And so for me, if anything can help me become the better version of myself, I'm always in on it now. So even if I'm skeptical, if I've been
Hmm.
told or I've heard that something can help me be a better version of me,
Yeah.
I'm willing to try it. At
Hey, that's
least.
that. You can't
At
ask for.
least.
I heard this quote today, and it said, "If you're not changing, then you're choosing. Whether it's your relationship, whether it's your
Mm,
job, whether it's your family,
mm.
you could talk about and complain about it, but if you're not changing it, then you're choosing to deal with it. That's
And
it.
that's a bar. That's a whole bar right there.
If you're
But
not changing, you're choosing."
it's all up to you. You have the power. You
Oh,
have I mean, it's all a choice, man. It's a decision. You have the power to, we all have free will, right?
oh yeah.
Um, you can choose to sit and wallow in your sorrow, right? Or you can choose to allow that situation to give you some experience, right? Tell yourself, hey, what is it I'm supposed to learn from the situation? I know for a fact people have told me numerous of times, like, they come up to me, hey, bro, like, I just want to let you know I'm kind of proud of you, man. Like, the way you handled what you went through, you became a better person out of that. And I really
Yeah.
didn't think you was going to. I thought this was going to probably be the end of you. And I remember looking at people and I told them, I said, I remember sitting in jail and I thought
Hmm.
to myself, like, this very well could be, right?
Yeah.
Or, or I can use this time to reflect, figure out where I went wrong, right? Like not necessarily the action. I knew the action I went wrong with, but where
Yeah.
did the root like stem from, right? It led me to that action. And then what I can do is I can eradicate that root, pull it up from the root, right? And then I can work on becoming better and allowing this to be what catapults me instead of what anchors me down. And so I just chose to level all the way up after that. I was like, this is not going to be my end. This is going to be the turning point of my story. And so that's exactly what happened. But like you said earlier, it's because I went into it with that mindset. I set my intentions on what I wanted to do when I got out and how I was
Yeah.
going to move when I got out. Just like you said about your therapist is only as good as you allow them to be. Well,
Absolutely.
my mindset was only as open as I allowed it to be. I could have been like, man, I'm done. This is it for JT. And I'd have been like one of those has been, coulda, shoulda, woulda situations. And I just was destined not to let that happen. So my father asked me probably 2 months ago um, about my situation. And, you know, that was something to him and my mother. It was very hard for them. And
Yeah. Of course it
rightfully
was.
so. They put up a lot of money that I had to pay back. Um,
Hmm.
and it was a situation that like was very emotional for them. They have strong feelings tied to that situation. And I
Yeah.
told my father, I said, Dad, for what it's worth, I know you might not want to hear this, but I don't regret any of that. I regret the action, right, that led me there.
Yeah.
But that situation, Marion, by itself is the reason why I am who I am today. I know that for a fact. And I
Gotcha.
wouldn't change none of it. Um, because it taught me so much. I learned so much about myself through that situation.
Yeah.
I saw that I needed to make some changes. I
Yeah.
did. And if I hadn't have done that, bro, I don't know. maybe maybe things could have been worse later. I don't know, but what I'm saying is that needed to happen, obviously. Um, and I'm just thankful and appreciative that I was able to see it as something that could be a positive as opposed to something that could be a negative, right? And so
But
I
the
tell
true
people
people,
now, yeah,
go ahead.
go
No, I was just saying the true people who care about you, it ain't the story no more. It's the
yeah, no,
glory.
no, yeah,
It's
for
the
sure,
glory.
for
And the thing
sure.
about it is, you got to remember, there's going to be a few people in your life that's going to be like, "Hey, we get it.
Hmm.
I've been down that road, and
Yeah,
we get
yeah,
it." So for you to be the man that you are now, I don't dwell on the past.
yeah, for sure.
It's almost like in sports when somebody does something great and they'll say something like, well, in 19 this or 2007, this happened to them. And it's like, but you just took back the good thing that this person's done, the positivity that they've displayed
Yeah.
since that situation, and people won't let it die. I know it for a fact because people still start say stuff about me and people come back and say it. But I always tell people, it's easy to talk. It's easy to talk about someone when they're not around. So the true test of a grown ass person is that
Facts.
either you're gonna say it when I'm around or you're gonna be
That's not.
cowardly and say it to someone else. Because
That's not.
I don't give two licks about what people say anymore.
That's usually
So
not the energy, bro, that people have. Usually, the energy is always different.
yeah.
When I came out of my situation, I remember asking my father, who was actually a very pivotal person for me and during that time, and I
Mhm.
thank him for that to this day dearly. But I remember asking him, I said, "Pops, like a lot of people been talking about me. It was all over social media. My Facebook page was even taken down, not by me. Facebook
Yeah.
got rid of my page because so many people were like spamming it and commenting. It was just like out of control.
Yeah.
It was on the news. It was all over, right? And so I remember asking my pops. I said, "Yo, like, how am I gonna deal with like going back into society and like
Mhm.
dealing with people like looking at me the stares and people
Yeah.
whispering and what how am I gonna know who was talking and who wasn't?" And
Mhm.
my dad looked me dead in my face and he said, "Son, as long as your last name is the same name I have, we don't care about what people think about us first off, right?
Amen.
As long as you know who
Amen.
you are, as long as you know who you are, right? I know who you are. The ones that love you know who you are. That's all that matters. First off, I was like, all right.
Sorry about that.
Second off, second off, he said the ones that were talking about you, they're telling themselves when they see
Yeah.
you, you'll know who they are.
Oh
And I
yeah.
was like, I didn't understand what he meant by that. He was like, just come back and talk to me later once you've been out there a little bit, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Well,
Yeah.
I understood what he meant by that because when those people saw me, the look on their face was like, oh damn, like he out. Oh, that's really him.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying? Like they told
Oh
him
yeah.
themselves. So I understood what he meant by that. Because
Mhm.
when I would run into my real ones, the ones that really cared about me, when I ran into you, when I ran into Bobo, when I ran into Hollywood, it was like, yo, bro, what's going on? And it was all love, right?
Yeah.
They were happy to see me. But when I ran into other people, it was like a shock, like, oh, that's how I
Uh-huh.
knew. That's how I
Yeah.
knew. And so I would hear the things being said, right? I saw the comments. My girl and certain people would screenshot the stuff, and they all sent them to me later when I got out. They kind of showed me who
Mhm.
was saying what, and I was like, "That's cool." I didn't address those people one on one, but
And
those
you didn't
same
need
people,
to.
Mary, those
Mhm.
same people though, check this out. Those same people, when they saw me, they were all in my face though.
Mhm.
Yo, Jay, what's up, bro? Good to see you. Da 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 da. I heard about your situation. I'm so glad you got out of this and that. Not knowing that I've already got receipts of what they've been
Mhm.
saying, right? When they
Yeah.
thought I was gone and out the way and I wasn't never gonna see it again. So what you thought was I was gone and you could just say what you're gonna say and then never would come back up. But see, I made a mental note. I didn't say anything, but I know
Yeah.
that you
Mhm.
died 1,000 deaths because every time you see me, you in my face
Yep.
and you don't really like me for real, but you still pretend like we cool, and I go along with
Because they
it.
want to know what is it about you, man. I've learned about people. They don't want what you have. They just don't want you to have it.
Bro, you be dropping bars. We need to start putting some
Uh,
of this stuff on t-shirts.
I know, right?
But facts, bro,
Yeah.
facts. And
You
so
gotta you
that's
build
real.
yourself up to where you are.
That's very
And at
true,
the end
bro.
of the day, man, their lives are worse off. That's why they mad. That's why they talk. They have
You
nothing
know,
else to talk about.
facts.
And some of
You
them can't
know,
even form a good sentence. So
you know, I've only had two people yeah, two people come up to me that I knew was talking negative about me. They didn't know that I knew, but
Mm-hmm.
eventually they came to me. They saw that I changed, right? They saw that
Mm-hmm.
I was actually putting my best foot forward, and that I put that situation behind me and was actually trying to be a better version of myself. And I owned up to my mistakes, right? They
Yeah.
saw that, and it took some years, but they came up to me privately and they told me, like, bro, I just want to tell you, man to man, like, I respect you. Um, I used to talk about you. I was one of the ones that was kind of like hating on you, and I'm man enough to say that now. And I just want to
I
let you
can
know
respect that.
you proved me wrong, and I'm sorry. And I'll say, you know what, bro? It happened 2 times, only two.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, bro, I respect you more than you think. The fact that you came and told me that you was wrong about me, that you
Yep.
talked about me negatively, and you told me to my face, I can't even be mad at you, bro, because you had enough cojones to come tell me to my face.
Oh,
You know what I'm
that's
saying?
respect. I give
I
respect for that.
respect you more than you ever will know. I said, now that we're having a dialogue, I said, what made you feel how you felt about me? And you know what one of them told me?
Mm-hmm.
He said, bro, I'm just gonna be honest with you. I'm not gonna say his name. He said, bro, to be honest with you, he said, I was just a hater, bro. He told me, he said, you beat me in a few shows. I was a little older than you. I came into the game before you. You know, you was a natural guy at one point. You beat me then, and when you came to the NBC, you beat me then. You turned pro. I never did. He was like, I was a hater, and he told me, he said, you know, you dealt with some women that, you know, I dealt with at one point, or I tried to get some women that you dealt with or whatever, and I just always felt like I was competing with you. And I
Jeez.
said, dang, I said, bro, you know, the crazy thing about it is I wasn't even aware of any of that. I was
Yeah.
just doing me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I said, bro, don't ever compare yourself to anyone. I said, because that's the that's the thief of joy, bro. You comparing yourself to someone else. Meanwhile, this person don't even know y'all in competition. You feel what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I said, you're worried about something that I had
Control
no
over it.
idea about. And
And
you
you
were
had no
mad at
control
me.
over it.
You were mad at me about something that I wasn't even aware of. And this
Mm-hmm.
whole time, it's been a decade, you've been hating me for what? He was like, I just felt like you were better than me. I said, bro, I'm a human just like you are. I'm a man just like you. I said, I'm not better than you or anyone else. I said, I may have been maybe more skilled in something or better in a certain arena, maybe, but I'm not a better person than you because of that. I said, don't ever judge yourself off of someone else's accomplishments. I said, you should never do that. He said, well, I had to learn that the hard way. He said, I just wanted to tell you to your face, bro, because it was eating me up inside knowing that like you never had anything negative to say about me and you always still spoke. And I said, man, I knew you had said stuff. People told me. And I know you had
Yeah.
made some racial comments. I said,
Oh,
and
jeez.
honestly, bro, I said, I didn't let that bother me because I know who I am. And I knew that you would still come out of your way to come speak to me. So I knew that was killing you more than it would for me to address and say something to you.
Yeah.
Because you
Uh,
had to work yourself up to come speak to me, knowing that you don't like me.
yeah, I call that a man, you know.
You see what I'm
I
saying?
always say this right here. I tell people, you know the difference between a boy and a man? A boy is a burden on you, and a man meets all needs. So, for
Mm,
all due respect for him to come up and say what he
yeah.
said, I
Hey,
mean, I
bro,
just,
I saluted him. I told him, you know, we'll probably never be like buddy buddy, but I respect you as a man, man, and man, I respect you. And I do wish you the best. You know what I'm saying? I really do. Um, and he said his pride wouldn't allow him to maybe even come ask me some things that I could have maybe helped him with to be better at what he was doing. He had a sense of pride. And I was like, I can't really relate to that.
yeah,
Because like if someone I feel like is better than me at something, I want to know all the tricks in the trade. So I'm gonna go up to you and I'm gonna like pick your brain. So
yeah.
that's
Well,
just how I am. So me being younger than him, maybe that was an issue. I don't know, but just like with my buddy Keon, like Keon's, you know, Mr. Olympia now at 212, and he's someone
yeah.
that surpassed what I was able to do, and he's younger than me. I think Keon's 30 now. And I'm 37, so I'm 7 years older than him. I never had
But
any issues losing to him, and he
but
was
it's no
still my
measurement.
boy.
That is not a measurement of who you are compared to what
Not at
he's
all.
done. You know what I mean? I mean,
Not
I
at all.
never got a chance to get a pro card, but when I went places, people treated me like I was a pro. So hey,
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah. Facts. Still do.
I tell people I love me some me. So the
Facts.
worst thing you can do is be so down on yourself because of what you think people might think. And I've looked at it, those people who talking, their life sucks. Cause if you gotta
Yeah.
talk about me, your life sucks.
Yeah. I'm like, I ain't that important, bro. I'm
Nah,
not that
hey.
important.
No,
What are you
I
keep
will
talking
change
about
that.
me?
No, you are the most important person you know. I took this thing with Tony Robbins one time, and he's right.
Mm.
You are the most important person you know. And if you don't see that, why would I expect anybody else to see it? Or why would I care if anyone sees it? As long as I know it, it
That's a
is what it
fact.
is. I
That's a
have got
fact,
to the
bro.
point and broken down psychologically with people is a lot of people are just unhappy with themselves.
I think that's what it
70%,
comes down to. Yeah.
70% of people have they have no self-esteem in themselves. Like you see them, the ones who try to dress the flies and put on all the
Mhm.
name brand and try to go get in debt and buy the Mercedes or the fly car, they hide behind something because they have nothing to offer. But for someone to say, "Oh, that's a nice car. Oh, that old thing. Yeah, that old thing. Oh, did you freeze again? This should not be happening. We're dropping some gems here tonight. All right, let's see if it comes back on. There you go. It should be coming back on. But while you all are waiting, as you see the bottom ticker, it says the new ebook, Me versus Me. If you haven't went and looked it up yet on mariontrainer.com or Amazon, you should check it out. We wait for JT to come through. I don't know if it's his connection, but he will be back on. And let's see, and I'll have him join the stage again. Hit
Oh
add
yeah,
to the
I'm back.
stage. And there he is,
Definitely back.
everyone.
Definitely
There
back.
he is.
I definitely I agree with what you just said, brother, because you know, it was very crazy to me that I saw how someone can have a real issue in their mind with you and you not be aware of it at all.
Oh
You know?
yeah.
And I remember when Keon first kind of got started, I helped him out with a lot of things, and we worked out together a good bit. We traveled to shows together. We competed against each other. That was my boy. We still tight to this day. We talk.
Yeah.
I know he's a lot busier now than usual, but we still talk every so often on the phone or text or whatever. And I
Yeah.
remember someone asking me like, why are you helping him? And I'm like, what do you
Oh
mean? They're like,
geez.
why are you helping him with this and helping him with that? Like, he's your competition. Like, and I'm like, but that's my boy though. Like,
You
it's
don't
like, yeah,
choose
but he.
yourself when you're on stage. You
They're
do
like,
not
yeah, but
choose
he's younger than
yourself.
you. He could take your spot. I'm like, if I lost to anybody, I'd rather lose to my boy. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Like, that's
See,
how I looked at it.
that's
And I
that
still helped him
self-esteem
out,
and
bro. Like,
envy.
I still
That's
was
a,
like, anything I could do to help you out, bro, let me know. I still this day, I still do that. I would go to his shows. I would pay, travel, fly out or whatever, Orlando, Vegas to see him
yeah.
compete. Don't get nothing out of it. I just want to see my boy do well. You feel what I'm saying?
That's
So like,
that's
I
because you
didn't
have no ill
understand that.
will.
I didn't understand that way of thinking. Like, like, why would I be weird with him because like we compete in the same class? Like, who cares? Like, that's my guy. Outside of this
Hmm.
sport, we are real friends. And when this
Yeah.
sport's over and I retire and he retires, we're still gonna be friends. This sport
Yep.
doesn't. It's not like me and you, me and Hollywood, Darren, me and Bobo. Like, our friendship transcends the sport. We may have met
Oh,
because of it,
absolutely.
but it's not because like the sport is not all it's
Sports
about to
not the
me.
only thing that keeps us connected. That's the
No, not
thing.
at all. So I'm like,
That's,
bro, I'm like, why would I not help him if I can? That's weird to me. And they were like, well, I wouldn't be helping him if I was you. Like, he's my competition. I'm like, bro, I just don't think like that. This is never.
I
I've
never
never.
looked at it that way. You do you and I do me, and we see what comes out. That's all I can
I mean,
say.
think about it, bro. Like, what better way for me to have helped someone make a mark in the sport to say I had a direct hand in helping
That's
someone
awesome.
become
That's
the
an awesome
best?
feeling.
The same way you in Hollywood helped me become
Yeah.
who I was, had a direct hand in someone doing well. Like, what better feeling is that?
Everybody catches everybody. Don't
You know what I'm saying?
don't hold back knowledge because you feel like somebody might take your spot. Look, when you
That's
cement
weird.
yourself, you're cemented.
Weird, bro. That's weird. Like, imagine if Flex never put Ronnie on game.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
how insecure and shallow would that have been of him to do that?
But here's the thing. When you say Ronnie Coleman, you say Flex Wheeler, everybody still know who they are.
Facts.
It's not like he became a forgotten
Facts.
man because he helped
Facts.
Ronnie.
I
So
say this. I go out on a limb and say this, and it's gonna be controversial, I know, but I would argue and say Flex, it may be more world renowned than Ronnie.
yeah, yeah,
I'm just saying, and
because
he
he
never
has
won an
that type of
Olympia,
physique.
and he
He has
never
that
won
type
an
of physique.
Olympia. You see what I'm saying?
It's
Like he
kind of,
never won an Olympia. So,
well, think about
and
it.
the
Like I said,
reason why Ronnie had probably the craziest physique, the most wow factor we probably ever seen, and probably ever will see.
well,
But
that amount of
Flex,
mass,
bro, Flex had,
he was the closest to perfection that you ever seen in a physique.
bro, bro, Flex had like I don't know if I can even put it into words. Like he had like the prettiest, most polished, graceful. Just if you could like, if okay, so let's say we were going to like another planet, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we had to take like an image of every single thing that we have here to take and show like this is what a basketball player looks like. This is what a football player
Yeah,
looks like. This is what a bodybuilder looks like. Flex
yeah,
Wheeler would be the picture.
exactly.
He would be the
Ex-
picture. You know what I'm saying? Like if there was
Yeah,
a definition of a bodybuilder, we had a picture in Webster's, it would be a picture of Flex Wheeler, like 100%. Tie-ins, insertions, origins, all that, like
those small
muscle
muscle
bellies,
bellies, man. He gave the
crazy,
illusion of looking bigger than what he actually was.
bro,
And I saw
crazy.
him in
I think
person
was it
on several
90?
occasions.
Let me see, was it 90? Let me find it and make sure I don't want to say this wrong. I want to say it was 90. Was it 92? Uh, 92 USA's, was
Yep,
it?
92. Yeah, because
Yeah,
91 he placed
92.
second to Mike Matarazzo.
92 USA's flex. Let me see. Make sure I got it right. I think this is right.
Yeah, he won in
Yeah.
92. He said if he didn't win, he was that was it for him. He was going to work for the sheriff's department.
Man, I'm looking at him right now. This was crazy. Yellow trunks, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's when he had the flex cards in the back. Man,
This is Flex Wheeler, people.
that dude looked wild, bro. And
He
he
was
wasn't
just
even. That's
amazing.
not even. Man, hold. Let me pause it right there. That's not even him at his biggest. But I think that was like one of the better looks, though.
But you know how much he weighed his first Olympia?
I really do think this is what I'm talking about,
Oh yeah, I know. I got it.
bro.
Bro, I'm
That's
a historian.
wild. That is just that's
He was
wild to me.
228. He was 228 there.
I mean, just look at that's wild to me, bro.
Oh, I know.
That's
It's
crazy.
an amazing physique.
Just that's man.
Hmm.
So to me, I would argue and say that he's probably the most world-renowned bodybuilder we have. I would arguably say that.
Oh,
And so the
absolutely.
fact that he helped Ronnie, I don't think took anything away from Flex whatsoever. I really don't.
Oh no, man, he was definitely my inspiration. I had that magazine for probably about 30 years when he
Yeah,
first turned pro.
he
And they
definitely was
showed,
pioneering the sport, bro. He's
yo, we came up during
definitely
good decades. Good
yeah.
decades, man.
He's a living legend, bro. Living legend. Like
I
you know
mean, in
how
the
many
90s,
you
even
know
in the
how many
90s, man.
you know how many protein shakes I made looking at his videos and pictures.
Oh, bro, trust me,
Bruh, I'm
I
telling you, man.
understand. I was
It
there
was
like, oh
it was
man,
a
I gotta
real
get
thing.
big. I gotta
Yeah,
get big. I gotta get bigger.
yeah, it was a
And
real
just
thing, bro. It really was.
it's
It was a real thing.
because they used to have a show called American Muscle. That's how I first saw him.
Okay.
And when you got that, I think you had to have cables, American Muscle, but it was a great show. You saw him on there, you saw his physique, you like, oh, I got to get to work. Of course, we knew how he was with the magazine. I mean, I'd be
Yeah.
like at GNC like the first fifth of the month and be like, is the magazine in yet?
Yep,
And they
yep,
knew me,
yep.
so the girl said, it's not here yet. They would call me and tell me the magazine is in. You
Oh
know,
man, good times, man. Good times.
oh,
It's crazy
great
to think,
times.
but it's
Well,
you know, to me, thinking about that though in the situation with me and Keon, like the fact that he's the 212 Miss Olympia now, man, I couldn't be more ecstatic.
oh, why not? I
To
mean, you
know,
can't hate on another man. I
you know
tell him,
what I'm
you
saying?
can't hate on another man he didn't put himself in that place, but he prepared himself for that.
He did.
We
He
all have
definitely
prepared ourselves to be number one.
did.
If it happened, we are like, oh, great. If it didn't happen, we still like, oh, I love this. I'm gonna keep going. A lot of
Yep.
people cannot take a loss and try to recover from it. They'll be like, "Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
I
never gonna
agree.
do it again," and because of XYZ. Well, and that's why, and that shows how the rest of your life will go. Also,
I agree. Oh man, I totally agree. That's a fact. Honestly, and Flex had a lot to do with him, with Keon being found and kind of discovering him and really putting him on the map too. So,
yeah.
for me, man, it's like the way I look at it, I pay it full circle. Like, yeah, I never won a Mr. Olympia or a pro show, but for me, just knowing that I was amongst right
Oh yeah.
the best during the time that I was coming up, and I actually got to live the lifestyle that I really wanted, and actually got to see the ins and outs of the industry and the sport. That's what I wanted. That's all I really ever had wanted. I never
We
got
are
into the sport.
unique.
I never
We
got
are
into the sport to
unique.
be Mr. I never got into bodybuilding to be Mr. Olympia. I never did. That was something I learned down the road, is a title that obviously was very prestigious, but I
Yeah.
didn't pick up my first magazine in my weight because I wanted to be Mr. Olympia. I picked it up because I wanted to have more
You wanted that
confidence, more self
physique.
esteem,
You
and
want
I wanted to
the
look better, right? And
yeah.
so that was just a byproduct, right? The Olympia and the trophies and all that. That was
Oh
that was just
yeah.
something that came secondary. But we all had the same love and passion for it initially. I think that's why we get into it. And for me, I saw that in Keon, and so for me, the same way you guys poured into me,
Yeah.
I try to do my best to pour into other guys.
What's the give back,
Um,
man? We
yeah,
all, I mean, you gotta remember you came as when you came along, there was more of us. But when I came
for
along,
sure.
there wasn't a lot of what we gave to you. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
everybody, it was so few. I mean, believe it or not, man, back then you were just in a unique position. I mean, think about it. When you walk into a place, how many people you see look like you?
very, very few. It ain't
I,
none really, if
I,
that.
I was talking to this older gentleman. I was telling him about something. He said, and he called me Tiger. I said, Tiger, uh, forgive me if I don't feel bad for you. I said, what are you talking about? He said, when you walk into a place, to a room, how many people look like you? He said, you handsome, you well built, you do well for
Hmm.
yourself. And what's the problem again? And what I learned from that, he told
Perspective,
me,
brother.
he said, take your heart off your sleeve and
Mm.
you'll be a better person for it. And since I've done
Man, he
that,
gave you some
I
great
am
wisdom right there, bro.
I
He
am a
gave you
better
some.
person for that.
He gave you some great wisdom right there.
I will put
It
no
it,
one.
it it puts things in perspective too, bro. Like when people used to say, like, "Man, you always seem like you're in a good mood." I know you always are yourself, and I'm every time I see you,
I
you
hear
always.
that all the
I don't think
time.
I've ever seen you not in one. Now that I think about it, I don't think that I have. In like
Someone asked me
the
that this
15
weekend.
years that I've known you, I don't think that I've ever seen you not in a good mood.
Well, somebody asked me that this weekend, and I had to tell people, if you know my story, then you understand my glory. I've been on my back twice with the fear
Yeah,
of dying. And when you
yeah,
don't, you start seeing how these little idiosyncrasy things in life don't mean nothing. Because when
yeah,
you fighting for your life, you kind of like, oh man, for me to being able to have getting in a car again, that was
yeah.
like monumental for me to drive. I just drive. I drive the countryside. I just ride because there was a time it was taken away from me.
Mm. I can definitely resonate with that feeling for sure.
So,
I remember like when I was out when I just got released. I remember like I would just like you said I would just walk the
mhm.
neighborhood sometime, and I wasn't even walking for cardio. I was just walking because I could walk further than like an 8 by 8 cell. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
I
yeah,
could actually walk and
yeah.
take footsteps, and I didn't have anyone telling me, where I had to be, when I had to be, what time to go to bed. Like I could actually take a walk outside and like see the sun and see birds and hear birds and see the grass. Like you take for granted certain things that you see and have every day that you just don't think about until it's gone, right? And
Oh,
then
absolutely.
you're like, oh man, what I do to like just walk in some grass? You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah. Oh, it's the
Um,
little things.
just
It's
to
like me
like
being on the ship.
yeah, just to like let I was like, man, I want to kind of just feel rain hit my body again, like because I,
Yeah,
I I couldn't do that, right? Little things,
yeah.
bro. So like you just said, it changes your perspective and it makes you realize what's important and what's really not. And we put so much emphasis and time on things that aren't important. Um, and I think
Let
it's so
me.
we're so distracted
Hey,
with life, right?
I'm gonna
Go
give you
ahead.
a perspective. I'm gonna give you a perspective here. Then you'll know how blessed you are.
Okay.
2019, I was in Charlotte buying a vehicle, and I got a
Hmm.
phone call, and it says you need to call your boy. And I was like, "What are you talking about?" because he's in jail. So I'm like, okay, this is 2019. So I'm getting back. I'm trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
Fast forward from 2019 to about 2023, 24. They gave my buddy was with this young lady. Um, she was using him,
Mm-hmm.
and she had another dude at the house one night, and he went over there and knocked the door. She didn't want to let him in. Now he paying bills there now.
Oh,
So
damn.
so he takes his work truck. He drives through the garage. He gets in the house, breaks the glass in the back door. He goes upstairs, and the guys in there, nobody's fighting, but
Mhm.
they try to make it sound like that when everything was said and done, but nobody got hurt. But when you hear how it happened, you would think somebody did.
Yeah, yeah.
And because it was at night in the state of South Carolina, uh, it's called burglary one.
Mm-hmm.
And then they said aggravated assault. They gave my buddy 25 years. People who murder people don't get that.
Nah, facts. You said they gave him how much? 5 years?
25 years.
Oh, wow.
So if any of you out there don't know that if you
That's
mad,
crazy.
do not go, whether it's your woman or whether you women going to your guy's house, do not do that at night. I prefer you not do it at all. But in the
Yeah.
state of South Carolina, burglary one has a sentence of 15 to life. 15 minimum, life maximum.
Get out of mine.
So when you listen to stuff like that and you think that you've been through something, I think I've been through something. When you hear that, and we're
Dang.
getting an appeal, but I'm just telling you, man, ain't nobody,
Worth
man
that.
nor woman that you
Facts.
date is worth losing the rest of your life over.
Nah, that's a fact. I know that's a fact, bro. That is a
That's when people
fact.
ask me about, are you worried about anything if you have a woman or your wife? Look, what's meant for you, you gonna get it. I'm not,
Facts.
I'm not, I don't have insecurities. And people say, well, why don't you? I said, because I love myself.
Yeah, bro. Like, and that's
I
something
ain't
that I
going to
think
jail for nobody.
I think when I was younger, my temper used to get the best of me, and that was something I had to learn how to control. And honestly, like I said, that situation with me, I think was warranted because who knows, like if that hadn't happened, maybe my temper might have got me into worse trouble down the road. You know what I'm
And
saying?
it could have.
And so that's how I look at it now, man. Because like when I was younger, man, I was a hothead, and I was one of those people. I always felt like I had something to prove. I think because I was seeking validation in things and people instead of
Yeah.
now I understand who I am. I know who I am. I know
Bro,
my
you a
source of
king, man. You a
so like,
king. I
you know what I'm
tell you,
saying.
like I
So
tell all
now,
my boys,
yeah,
you are
now
a
I don't have
king.
that chip on my shoulder, right? But I was ready. You know what I'm saying. I was with all the like back then, and I look back now, I could have really threw my life away
Oh,
several
yeah.
times over something that like now wouldn't be nowhere near as worth it or important as I thought it was at the moment in time. Nowhere
Because you're
near.
more, you're more cerebral now. You more like, wait a minute. Is that worth it? Is that worth
Bro, like
making a big ruckus? Nah.
how many people do we know right now sitting behind bars because of 2 or 3 second decision?
Oh, it's a trigger, man. It's a trigger. People don't
You know
know.
what I'm
That's why I
saying?
tell people, don't be messing with people. You ain't prepared for the flat. You ain't prepared for the get back. Because some people are not going to take your BS. I
Facts.
always tell people for every action, there's a reaction.
Now that's a
So,
fact too. And this is one thing that my father told me, like, you gotta be careful. And he's like, you might run into somebody like yourself one day who don't care. And I
mhm.
remember I used to always say, I was like, well, it's gonna be what it's gonna be then.
Oh yeah,
He was like,
I've
that
been there.
sounds good. That sounds good
Mhm.
until you run across somebody who really like you, who prepared to go to the furthest extent, right? You don't know what someone's willing to do and how far they're willing to take it. To you, it might not be as serious, but to them, it might really be serious. So this is where I'm at now, bro. And my cousin helped me understand this. He asked me, he said, when you get upset with a person and you think about being physical, right? Or it crosses your mind, ask yourself this: is it worth, or would you take this person's life over the situation? Nine
Yeah.
times out of 10, no. So then it's not even worth
Oh
doing
no.
anything about it. And the reason why he says that is because you don't know how this person's going to take what you do, right?
Yeah.
and they might be willing to take your life, right? So are you willing to take theirs? Because if you're not, you need to leave them alone, because you just don't know what somebody's
Oh,
dealing with,
that is
how they
not true.
feeling. They might be
Yeah,
ready
if
to
you're gonna
crash
step to
out.
someone, you might be prepared. You better be prepared to either give it or take it.
Facts. Hey, what they say, you gonna get down or lay down. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
yeah.
Like
Oh,
one of the
we all
two.
been at that stage, man. We've been about it
Facts.
because of the level of frustrations in life. You know,
Facts.
everybody everybody didn't grow up, with the silver spoon in their mouth, with people patting
Yeah.
you in the back, So my thing is, for me, it's how I saw some of my people being treated.
Mm-hmm.
And it's for me, even being in the military, and we're supposed to be protecting the country, and we got a racial riot. I mean, it's not, but I'm looking at, so it's almost like you have to tame that anger, because if you don't, you will hurt somebody.
Yeah, for sure. I agree.
So my thing for people, if you don't like yourself, don't be trying to take that out on me. Go get some therapy, talk to
Mm-hmm.
somebody, because you feel if you feel you don't like your life, what is going after someone else's? What is that going to do for you?
Nothing.
So at the end of the day,
Enjoy.
you gonna stand up, or you're gonna get laid down. That's just one or two things gonna happen in life, because everybody's not gonna take it like you may have done with
Oh
other
no,
people.
not at all. My pops told me everybody wasn't raised the same, and I know I wasn't. You know,
Hmm.
certain things, you might people feel like it's okay, and I might not. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
and certain people willing to go to the further extent about their respect. So, that's why I always try to treat everybody when I meet them the same, whether it's a janitor, a homeless person, or a
I
CEO
feel
of
you.
a company. I don't care who they are. I try to treat everybody the same, because you don't know what people are dealing with, what they got going on,
Yeah,
and what levels they will go to. And so for me, I try to stay out the way instead of in the way. And I
yeah,
also know how my mindset is and how my temper used to be. It's best for me to be out the way, because I know certain things I'm just not going to put up with as well. So it's just
yeah,
best for me to stay out the way. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
Oh,
So
hey, yeah, I
uh,
feel you on that.
that's why I stopped doing security. I did security for 16 years. I
Yeah,
stopped doing that. I walked away from that because I realized the older I get, the less patience I have for nonsense. And so I'm at the age now. I'm like, man, I ain't got time to be playing. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
too grown to be fighting. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Every
I
week, like
I said that a long time ago.
I'm
I
like, bro, like I'm at
That's
the
why I
point
keep to
now. I'm like,
myself.
yeah, I'm like, bro, I don't get me wrong. I used to love doing that, but I'm like, I'm getting to the point now. I'm like, I'm not fighting y'all every weekend. You know what I'm saying? I'm just not. So, uh, but yeah, I mean, a lot of that perspective changes too. I think when you gain maturity and wisdom, and I think maturity is a beautiful thing. And it's something that we all hit at different phases in life. But I'm just thankful and
Yeah,
grateful that I hit mine when I did, and not later, because I think I definitely could have potentially been in harder situations. So I'm definitely appreciative of that for sure.
oh, but see, the
And
thing
like they
about
say,
it
you know
is,
better, you do better.
you're here, and you're able to talk about it. A lot of people aren't.
100%. Yeah.
So just by fact of you being able to do that, and I hope anybody on here, if they get something out of it, you might have a family member that may have felt that way, may have some anger issues, because you gotta let them know, they're not playing. You know, they they're gonna put you away. They're gonna put you away. So are you frozen again? But either way, it's gonna be back. It don't cost you nothing to be nice, but it costs you everything to be mean and nasty, and not treat people like the respect that you want. So hopefully he's coming back on. And I do apologize to this, because technology can be the greatest thing, and sometimes can be like, but he will be back on. So I hope everyone has got something out of it, and all those who are on, that you can hear us good. And it's just like a conversation between two gentlemen who, we've been in the bodybuilding and fitness world for, well, combined together, it would be like over close to 4 decades. Uh, because I know I got about close to 30 in it, and I still love it. Don't compete anymore, but I compete with myself constantly. So that's what keeps my juices flowing. I love to be, even if it's just to say, okay, I want to lose an ounce, or I want to lose a pound, or I want to gain a pound of muscle. All right, let me bring it back in.
Back.
That's that's what we do. And again, and I'm telling everybody, for what they're hearing from you, this is, I hope, if you got a family member or you got friends that might have an anger issue, this is really an important issue because it can take you down a path that you might not be able to recover from.
So probably it takes you a couple seconds to get in trouble and sometimes years to get out of it if you ever do, and that's
Right.
something that I've even, it's been 2017. Yeah, it's 2025 now. So it's been 8 years, almost 9 years since my situation, man. And I still have uh, certain things that I still deal with because of that circumstance, right? There's certain things that I'm still um, that still linger because of that. And
Yeah.
so I realized that a very small moment in time of weak emotional intelligence
Yeah.
can literally put you in a situation that can literally be the trajectory of your life, for
Oh
better
yeah.
or for worse. And so my emotional intelligence now is something that I really, really hold in high value because I had a moment where I was weak in that and I
Yeah.
allowed my emotions to over empower my intelligence at
Get
the
the
time.
best of you. Yeah.
And it
Your
put me in a
mind got to be
situation.
stronger than your emotions. We have someone on, on Instagram from Goo to Beast, and I know who he is. He said he studied martial arts since he was 5 because of his anger issues. So
Yeah,
when you
bro.
can reach someone and you know
Facts.
it and you acknowledge it, and that was an outlet for you, that's to me, I think that's awesome.
Bro,
You
that's, man, it's crazy because I got my father put me in martial arts when I was like 7. And I did it from like 7 up to like 21, 22. Um, and that helped me out a lot. And that's why my dad did it. My dad had a real, real, real bad temper growing up, and I definitely got it from him. And that's something
yeah,
that my grandmother's always told me. She always told me, she said, baby, she said, one of these days, if you don't know how to control your temper, she said, one or two things are going to happen to you. She said, one of three things. She said, you're going to end up in jail,
mhm,
you're going to end up killing somebody, or somebody going to end up killing you. She
yeah,
told me. She
that's
said,
right.
because she said, when you get angry, she said, you black out and you don't see nothing but rage. She said, you just, I don't, it's almost like you're not yourself and something is taking over you. She said, you need to work on that aggressively, and that's
Yeah,
something that never really understood it, right? Until it put me in a situation. And she said one of those three was going to happen. And the first one did. And that's when it hit me. And I was like, dang, grandma was right. Which
I
she
can relate
usually
to you on that,
was.
man. Yeah.
Which she
Oh,
usually was.
grandmothers, I'm gonna relate to you
So,
on that because I have a brother that's, that did happen to. Says
hmm
you either gonna kill somebody, you gonna get killed. He did
yeah,
kill someone.
really.
So yeah,
Yeah,
he's
bro.
been he's been down for about, and it wasn't just because of that. He did like 5 years for that because we don't get a lot for killing each other, but
Yeah, unfortunately.
but for what was going on in the drug game, I mean, he's
Hmm.
like he got more for drugs than he did for killing somebody.
That's wild, bro. That's
You know what I
wild.
mean?
That's wild to me. But yeah, it happens all the time, bro.
But he has
So
definitely a story to tell, and I'll definitely have more when he gets out because he'll be getting out at some point. And
I'd love
what
to do
I
that, bro. That would be great, man. To hear his testimony and some of the stories I'm sure you could share. I would love to be. I'd be humbled just even being in
bro,
some
I would
presence
tell
like
these
that.
young people, and from talking to my brother, let me tell you, brothers, young men out there, you do not want to go to penitentiary
No, it ain't nowhere I want to be. Shoot, I can
because
take that
it
too.
ain't the same as the county jail.
Nah, it's different,
So
bro. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm just gonna keep it 100. I'm gonna try to keep it PG.
yeah.
I enjoy women way too much to be around a whole bunch of dudes. I'm just keeping it
Hey,
100, bro.
I second that. I second that. I tell him I'm
I'm
the
just
biggest
keeping it
lesbian
a
I know.
hundred, bro. That I'm telling you, that alone is like I'm like, man, I can't. This is not. This is no place for me. Like,
Nah,
no, you know what I'm
yeah,
saying? So
yeah.
that's a fact.
I
That's a
wholeheartedly
fact.
understand. So people got to
Facts.
realize, man, we this talk right here, and next time we are going to be on TikTok because,
Yeah, for sure. Definitely can do that.
and I may have it where we just go TikTok alone. Oh, hey, from Goo to B said my mom told me the same thing. I had many blackout moments.
Yeah,
Blessed,
bro.
blessed I have not been locked up, or I was utilized to train military cops and others. So,
That's a
you
great. He
know,
found an outlet that he could actually channel that
yeah,
energy stuff into. Man, that's important, especially for young men to establish something they can put their energy and time into. Because, bro, I'm telling you, bro, like they hit you with them. They hit you with them years,
mm-hmm. Then you
man.
got that's too much time to think.
Bro, I'm
I
telling you,
think
yeah, bro,
it's
real
too much
talk. Like
time to think.
I remember being in court, man. I went to court like 9 times with that whole situation before it was all said and done. And I remember like I just knew that I was gonna get like something crazy. But I remember like my last name starts with a T, so I had a few people in front of me. I had like 10 or so people in front of me, and they was hitting that gavel, bro.
Mm,
15, 10, 8,
mm,
16. I'm like, God, I'm like, this ain't looking too hot for you, boy. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I gotta come
yeah,
after this. They hitting this thing, everything over 10. I'm
yeah.
like, yo, they playing with people live. And then we went on recess, right? They went
Hmm.
like a recess break. And I see all the lawyers and stuff chit chatting. They kind of like cutting up, ha ha, he, and giggling and stuff. And they go eat, and then they come back, and everybody's in a good mood. And I'm like,
They
y'all
don't
just
care
sent,
about you,
y'all
man. They
just,
want that
y'all
money.
just sent, y'all just sent 10 people up the road for like a decade or more. Y'all acting like everything's sweet. Y'all really out
Hmm.
here playing with people's lives for real.
Yeah.
That's what I knew, bro. Without a shadow of a doubt, these people don't care nothing about you.
No, they don't.
They do
That's
not care
the,
nothing about you,
bro.
bro.
You know,
I
different
was
from back
like,
in the day. We'd take
bro,
you out, then we go to
Marion,
church afterwards.
Marion, when I tell you, bro, when I was looking at these people, like, yo, y'all some real snakes. Like, y'all just sent my
Hmm.
man up the road for 15, 20, 18, 16. Y'all cutting up laughing.
Yeah,
Like it's funny, bro. Ain't nothing sweet about none of this.
because the
This is a
law is
person's
not on our
life, bro.
side.
This is a
Black
person's
bodies,
life. This changed
from Gouda B
forever.
says,
Y'all
black
get to go
bodies
back
are
home.
money.
Yeah,
Hmm.
bro. Y'all get to go back to the house, see your kids, have dinner and all that. Like it's sweet, bro. I'm telling you, I felt some type of way, bro. I felt
Oh,
some type of way, and I'm telling you, I told myself, I said, if I can help it, I'll never be back in a situation like this ever again,
because they treat us differently. They treat us differently. I
bro.
don't
I'm
know if people want to
telling
hear
you,
that, but they treat us
I'm
differently.
telling you, bro. It, man. And
If they
then,
can get
oh,
rid of,
and then this is what, before we close, I'm gonna go to finish out with this. And
yeah.
then my situation came up, right? My judge, he had lunch with the judge, right? The week
Hmm.
prior, kind of, I'm saying, playing the game.
Yeah.
I owe you type stuff, you owe me that type of stuff,
Oh, I
right?
know.
And
Yeah.
he told me straight up, he was like, you might do some time, but it's not gonna be a lot. I'm gonna get you down to at least minimum 3. So I'm
Hmm.
like, all right, so I'm gonna go ahead and get this over with. So I'm gonna go ahead and plead, right? So I remember when the situation was over, I took a plea. I remember the prosecutor came up to me as a female. Um, she came up to me. She said, "Young man, get this situation behind you so you can move on with your life." She said, "If it's any consolation," she said, "I didn't really believe any of the stuff they said about you." She's like, "But I just had a job to do."
Yeah. Oh,
Excuse
wow.
me? Excuse me?
Wow.
Are you serious right now, bro? When I tell you, I had like this feeling come over me. Like, do you know I would do you know I want to put hands on you right now? You were literally trying to get me like 15 years. Just you was arguing about me doing 12 to 15, and you felt some
Wow.
type of way about that. Like you was like
Wow.
mad that I was only gonna do like 3. She was like, I think he should need to do 10, and she was like really pushing about it, bro. Like for real. And I'm like, did you tell me at the end of the? Oh, I didn't really believe you did none of this anyway, but I do have a job to do. It's just a job for me. This is my life, bro.
Wow.
This is my life. You
I'm
talking about this
not
is just a job for
surprised,
you,
but
bro? I'm
from,
telling you, bro. I tell people all the time, I tell these young cats all the time, in the streets, they think everything's sweet, bro. It's not. These people do not care nothing about you.
yeah, you didn't have a
They will
court
send
appointed
you up
lawyer,
the
did you?
road and go back to their house and have dinner tonight and not think nothing about you, bro. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I know. You didn't have a
Seen it.
court appointed lawyer, did you?
Nah, I didn't. I
Okay,
didn't.
you had a private lawyer.
That's
Because
really
this is
probably
what,
what saved me, bro. If I had a
oh, I
public
know it
defender, it'd
did.
probably been a wrap.
Yeah, from Goo to B says for every person locked up that a minority, the prisons get incentives and bonuses to the private prisons. Prisons are
Facts.
owned by hedge fund groups.
Bro, my lawyer told me some stuff, man. And white guy, he told me straight up, bro. He was my age actually. He told me straight up. He charges 10 grand to even come talk to me. He wanted 10 racks before he even came and spoke to me. He wanted
Mm,
10. That's on the front end, right?
mm-hmm.
He told me straight up, he told me, he said, if you were not of color, he said, I've dealt with this same circumstance with 2 other people prior this year.
Yeah.
They got a slap on the wrist. They signed themselves out of jail and went back home. He told me
Mm-hmm.
straight up, he said, you got a name around here? He said, you got a little bit of a clout around here. They trying to make an example out of you. He told me
They
straight
not
up.
they want to make an example out of you. Yeah.
He told me
Oh, I've
straight
been
up. He
there.
said, if you weren't who you were and you were just a nobody, or he said, if you didn't look the way you looked, this wouldn't even be a situation. He told me straight up, bro.
Yeah.
I said, so I
Yeah.
got to spend 10,000 now just because I look the way I do. He told me, he said, you need to stop working out. You need to lose about 50 pounds. Grow your
Hmm.
hair. You look aggressive. He told me, bro, I dropped now from 250 to like 180.
Wow.
Just I had to stop working out, bro. He said, stop working out. And you know how hard it is. I love working out, bro. That's like what kept me sane.
Yeah.
He was like, you need to stop. He said, because the bigger you are, the more aggressive you look. He said, grow your hair back out, shave your beard. He said, you look aggressive.
Because we're
You,
stereotyped. We're
he said, you
stereotyped.
big, you black,
Yeah.
you bald. He
Yeah.
told me, he said, grow your hair out, man. He
Those are all
said,
the
stop
ingredients for us to
working
take
out.
him down.
He said, lose some muscle, do something. He said, I'm gonna try to prolong this as long as possible because the more time it takes in between, the better it looks, and then the more you have time to drop weight. I was like 185 when I went to court, bro.
But
Dropped down from 250.
most
It's
people
crazy.
not going they're not going to understand it, but you know that's what's make us strong because now once you got knowledge, you know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know how to move. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And now I won't ever get tricked out my spot because I understand now the concept in the game they really playing for real. It's a dirty
Yeah.
game, bro.
Oh, it
Pac said
is.
it best. It's a
Hey, I was
dirty
about to
game.
say, he said, it's a dirty game.
It's a
It's a
dirty
dirty
game
game.
out here, bro. They don't play fair
Mm,
out here. But I'm telling you, I tell these kids
no.
now, man, hey, stay out these people's faces, man. Stay out the way, bro. I'm
Yeah.
telling you.
Well, I just say like sir, we got to stay strong and diligent for the ones of us that are strong and strong minded.
Mhm.
We got to stick and band together because we don't never know when anything is going to happen.
That's a fact. That's a fact, man. You ain't wrong about that, brother. You know, I had a young kid I was saying earlier before we got cut off. He reached out to me today and told me he's probably starting a podcast. And he was like, man, I'm going to have you as one of my guests. I saw a word. And he was like, yeah, man. He said, I've always respected you, bro. You've always helped me out. You've always looked out for me. You ain't never like really charged me anything. You always just try to pay it forward. And I
Yeah.
told him, I said, man, I've had so many guys do the same for me that were above and older than me that poured into me when I was coming up. And now he's coming up through the ranks. He's trying to, get to the national level soon. And, he wants to do his, his first like national show. And he's chasing the
Yeah.
dream too, right? And I
Yeah.
can see that fire in his eyes and I can relate to it. I know what it feels like. I
Yeah.
told him, I said, bro, I'm proud of you, man. I said, just keep doing what you're doing. He hit me up, asking me, questions about supplementation and diet, working out, whatever it may be. And I
Yeah.
always, the same way you were at me, bro. I'm the same way with him. And he told me, he said, bro, I saw you go through your situation. I didn't really know you back then as well, but I watched you. I followed you on social. I've seen you change, and man, like I respect you a lot because you didn't let that define who you were.
Yeah.
And the fact that you didn't let that bury you speaks a lot about your character. And I said, well, I appreciate you for saying that. I'm humbled to hear you say those words, and I said I appreciate, and I would love to be, on your podcast whenever you do. I said, I would definitely love to be a guest. So
Yeah.
it makes me feel good, man, to see younger guys that are actually getting something out of that because because I tell you, but like
Yeah.
when you pour into someone and you see that they're actually
Oh.
taking what you're putting into them and actually using it
Oh yeah.
and actually applying it, it's a good feeling, brother.
Like I said, I don't have to go out here and tell the world of how many people that I've helped, that I've talked to, that
Yeah,
I inspired. I know what I do, and I'm not out here looking for validation. And I'm gonna say
facts,
this until the day I die. I'm gonna love me some me until the wheels fall off. That's it.
facts,
And
facts.
I'm not gonna minimize. I'm not gonna shrink myself for anybody.
No, no, never
If you
that.
don't like it, look cross the other side of the street and keep it moving. Cause
Yeah,
I'm
facts.
not gonna stop being who I am.
And nor should you, bro. And none of us should. None of us should. I mean, I appreciate our conversations, especially ones like tonight where we really
Yeah.
just had like this like real talk. We're not talking about specific issues with health and fitness or specific questions, but just sitting down having just real conversation
Yeah.
and dialogue back and forth. I think it's important for us to do that. And I think a lot of people message me privately and tell me like, "Hey, bro, I get so much out of you and Marion's conversation when you guys just talk and just kind of like go back and forth about just what you got on your mind. Sometimes we don't have
Yeah.
a specific topic. And people say sometimes they enjoy that more because they like to hear what we have to say about certain topics or how we feel or how we think. So I appreciate you, bro.
Oh, no problem. This is
Setting
the
the time
meeting of the
out.
minds.
Yeah, setting time out of your days, on Mondays to do this with me. And next week for sure, Monday, I'll
Yeah.
be off, so I'm definitely free to
Okay.
do it if you need to do it. Whatever times, whatever time works best for you.
7 is usually good because I like to get my
We could
beauty
do
rest.
Yeah, we could do 7 next week. I'm down. I'm off next week,
All right.
so we could definitely shoot it on TikTok too, like you said. Maybe we can me and you can go back and forth through text and try to figure out what we
Yeah.
need to do. Get that situation.
I'm gonna try to see if I can merge it, but if not, we're gonna go straight TikTok.
Okay,
And
I'm cool with that.
if everybody want to come on, you just go over there and you look for
I'm cool
it
with
should
that.
be like, but I think my name now on there is called Big Flex, so it's a reason for that. So.
I'm with
But
that. Yeah, let me know, bro. I'm definitely with that. We can
I
set that
will.
up for
So,
sure.
you know,
100%.
as usual, we try to close out with a positive note and letting everybody know, you don't have to be perfect at what you do. You don't have to be the best, but you should try to strive to be one of the best.
I agree. I
You know,
definitely
if
agree.
you and if you're looking to take your physique to the next level, JT is that guy.
Yeah,
For
definitely.
me, I mostly consult. He will probably see you in person and do some stuff online. I do most of my
For
stuff
sure.
online, and I'm
Especially if
vouching
you're local.
for him. And I said I vouch for him because I, I probably sound old, but kind of like I raised him up in the sport, so yeah.
Facts.
So
Facts.
he
Facts.
he's
And I
been
definitely,
validated.
oh yeah, and I'm definitely appreciative, man, of all the knowledge you shared with me, brother. I definitely don't take it lightly, man, and I do my best to try to carry that torch and pass it on to the next guys coming up behind me. So, anybody out
Well,
there looking, like you said, to take your, physique to the next level, maybe want to compete or not, feel free to reach out to me, get on the call, set up a Zoom, and discuss what your goals are and see if I can be the person to help you reach and attain those goals. So, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram. I'm just Jermaine Todd, JERMAINE, last name TODD underscore on Instagram, on Facebook, and on YouTube as well. So, yeah, reach out to me. We can set up a call. I look forward to helping anybody that's looking to take their physique to the next level. 100%.
definitely. You all know how I do, mariontrainer.com, and check out that book, Me versus Me. You want to be a better version of yourself, get some self-discovery. You can get it from
Facts.
Amazon or Kindle. You can get it off the website as a PDF and have it drawn down, take it to the store. If you want to turn it into a book, you can do that. So,
Facts.
and
Well, I appreciate you, bro.
also, oh, definitely, man. You take care, have a good night, and
Likewise, brother.
let tomorrow be better than it was today.
Always, man. You never know when your last day is, so live every day like it might be, because you just never know. 100%.
Absolutely. Love you, brother.
Love you too, brother. Take care.
All
Peace.
right. Later.
Go on.
No, we're not gonna play outro. We're gonna end the screen, and we're not gonna. Let's see.
At mariontrainer.com, we go beyond just workouts. Here you'll find everything you need to achieve lasting change, from fitness training and personalized meal plans to motivational ebooks and exclusive coaching calls. Visit mariontrainer.com today.